Welcome back, everyone, to the Hungry Thoughts podcast with Nick Barahona, the show for all things food and where our appetite has no limits. Very excited for today. We're on episode 2. Have a guest today, first one of the season. Very excited for this episode. Before we dive into it, I want to tell you guys right now, thank you for all the support you've shown thus far. And if you want to show your support even more than just watching, then you can check out the Patreon. I appreciate, honestly, everything in terms of like the feedback and love and support. It means a lot. And so go check that out. See if you're interested in that. But yeah, so let's dive right into it. Today, we have a special guest, one of my really great friends that I've met here in Richmond. Please introduce yourself. Talk about who you are, what you do, and where you come from. And we'll just dive in from there.
Cool. My name is Paolo Escay. I work at Blue Atlas up in Fulton Hill.
Nice.
I'm a line cook there.
Nice.
And I'm from Falls Church, Virginia.
Okay. That's nice. So how long have you been working there for?
I started working there, I think about 4 months already.
Okay, nice. Just a quick background. So we probably met like a year ago, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I remember, if I'm correct, the first time we met, you guys were having at your house a Korean barbecue night, and you guys invited a mutual friend of ours, Jared.
Right.
And I was his plus one. And I remember that's the first time we met, correct? Wasn't it?
I think it was, but also I remember seeing you. I was working at the time with at this restaurant called The Coop.
The Coop. And I was there?
Yeah, you were there. You came in one day, and I was like, I swear I've seen
wait,
your
yes.
face. Yeah.
Talk to, I think his name is Mike.
Yeah, Mike.
Yes. You were working there.
I was working there.
Oh, did we talk at all or no?
I don't think so.
Okay, but you saw me?
I just knew your face. I was like, dude.
Were you in the back kitchen? In the kitchen?
Yeah, I was in the kitchen working.
Wow, yeah, okay. I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
We had like a pop-up, and I think you...
Yes. That closed down, though.
Yeah, that closed down. So.
Do you know, what's there now? Do you know? I have no idea.
I don't think anything's there.
Nothing was there by the time I left. But yeah, Korean barbecue night, though, that was like when we first like met, like formally, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And I mean, man, the food was great. It was fantastic. That corn cheese, there was so much of it, and that was the first time I've ever had it. I don't think I'd ever had Korean barbecue before then. It was great, though, and I loved it. How you guys, I'm guessing that was like something you guys did, not like every week, but maybe like pretty often. Like
yeah, where we'd have like a family meal together.
Yeah.
So like, as a house, like I think it's pretty important to like eat and talk to the people that you care about.
And they probably love how you're, you can cook it up too.
Yeah.
Like you're a great roommate, I'm sure. So yeah, kind of talk to me on how you came to be where you're at right now. I guess like right from the start, maybe like we can go when you were young, maybe like inspiration to be a cook, or maybe how that journey really made its way into you at Blue Atlas right now. So like maybe culinary school or whatever that you did to do that. Yeah.
So I mean, I've always, like, cooking's always been in my life.
Okay.
Like, my mom was a really good cook. Mm-hmm. She's really good at baking.
And where are you guys from?
We're from the Philippines.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So it's just been for a while, like, I really don't know how to explain it, but yeah, cooking's always been involved in my life.
Yeah.
And I took a class in high school. We had culinary arts. I took it for 1 year.
Nice.
And I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
But, I was really conflicted because I was cooking, but also I was following like my hobby, which was cars at the time.
Okay.
And so I was doing like the auto tech class, and then I was also doing culinary arts. And it only dawned on me when I was at Nova Community College, like that school just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
So I ended up dropping out from community college after my first semester, and I went to culinary school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which one did you go to?
I went to the CIA
Nice.
up in Hyde Park, New York.
Nice.
I didn't graduate though.
Yeah.
So I ended up dropping out, which is crazy because I did my internship in DC at this restaurant called Iron Gate.
Yeah.
It's in DuPont Circle.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there for about 6 months, and then COVID hit. So of course the big furlough came and kicked everyone out.
Yeah.
So for a good 2 years, I just wasn't cooking.
Oh, wow,
because of COVID.
really?
Yeah, I kind of like lost my interest in it. Wow. And then there was like a realization, and I heard like my roommate Oliver and then Coy, they were moving, they're transferring from Nova to VCU.
Oh, that's
so I kind of was like, oh, maybe I should
Yeah.
maybe I should come down, maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I ended up coming down here, and I've loved it ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's how you guys made your way down, and then you guys
Yeah.
you guys had another roommate too, Owen, right?
We have Owen,
Yeah.
and Ed was a roommate for a little bit, and Jared.
So it was 5 of you guys at one point in the house, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
5
cool,
of us.
cool. And so so you made your way to Richmond, and then
Yeah, so when I made my way down to Richmond,
Yeah.
I ended up going or looking for a job just
Yeah.
around the city. Like I applied to Lemaire. They didn't want me. And then all of a sudden, I applied for Perch at the time when they was still open.
yeah,
And Mike called me within 30 minutes of me sending in my resume, and I got the job.
and that was like the Coop.
Yeah, that was the Coop and Perch. So I worked
Yeah.
at 2 restaurants with him.
And so that was like so for people that don't know, the Coop is kind of like a space where it was shared, right? Where
Yeah,
you had
it was
like
shared.
a kitchen, so people could come in and like do like their pop-ups, and like people could come in and take out food, correct?
Right, yeah.
So you were part of Perch at that time?
Yeah.
Okay, nice,
Yeah,
nice,
both
nice.
of those restaurants.
And then from there, where did you go from there?
From there, I traveled in the summertime.
Yeah.
So I had like some time off. And then when I came back during the summer, I ended up working at a restaurant called Shagbark.
Shagbark, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And how was that?
It was a great experience.
Nice,
you know?
nice. And then
Good
how long were
food.
you there?
I was there for about 6 months.
And what food did they have there?
So they were more of like a Southern contemporary styled food. So like kind of fine dining-ish.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what was your position there?
I was line cook and then prep cook as well.
Nice. What's the difference between line and prep cook?
So
know.
the prep cook, you're doing like, I guess, the smaller components
Like, are you
to a
garnishing
dish.
like the plate and everything?
No, that's just like I'm there before all the cooks are there. So
Oh.
I'm just making all the basic stuff that we need
like
to get
prepping everything.
Yeah,
so that
prepping
you can
everything
use that.
and then
okay,
yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
And then the line cook is what?
So for the line there, because the way it was split up, like that kitchen was split up, so you have like your cold side, which is like desserts, and like cold appetizers,
Got it.
and then you have your other cold line, which had like the salads, fried stuff,
Okay.
and then there was like hot apps,
Yeah.
and then to like saute,
Yeah.
and then grill.
So kind of like Hell's Kitchen, or like not Hell's Kitchen. Or like the Gordon Ramsay show when they like get split up in teams. Pretty sure that's
Yeah.
Hell's Kitchen, yeah. And then like when they're cooking like on the night, they have like their appetizers and like the mains, and they get split up. So like
Right.
one part of the red team is like doing like the appetizers, and then one part's doing like the steaks and like fish, and then other one's like in charge of like the garnishing and stuff, like making sure everything's right. So it's kind of like that basically.
Right,
In the
yeah.
kitchen. Nice. Good to know. And so after 6 months of you being there, you moved then to Blue Atlas, where you're at
Yeah,
now?
I got a job opportunity there.
Oh, nice.
My old boss at Perch, he was the sous chef there. Ended up moving when Perch closed. They ended up taking him at Blue Atlas.
Okay.
And for a while, like they didn't really need me.
Yeah.
Until like they knew that this summer was gonna be a really big hit, and
Yeah.
so they brought me along to their team, and I feel like I've been a good asset to the team.
That's great. How have you been enjoying it thus far?
It's been a ride.
Okay.
Like we get the opportunities that I've seen and done. It's just I don't even know how to explain it. Like we have a lot of buyouts, so like the whole restaurant will get bought out for a day,
Wow.
and I just get to work that. So like
Really?
we've had a lot of weddings and a lot of wedding rehearsals.
Okay.
And some stuff like that.
And what kind of food do they have there?
It's kind of hard to explain because the way that their menu is set up is like it's split up by regions of the world. So you have your Asias,
Okay.
you have your Europe, you have your Americas, and you have your African.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And so what would you say is their best seller there?
The best seller there, I don't know. The one that everyone always comes back to get, it's this harissa fried cauliflower.
Okay.
So it's harissa fried cauliflower with fig jam and this like spice blend.
Okay.
So it's called dukkha. So it's pistachio, cumin, and a whole bunch of other stuff, sesame seeds and salt and pepper and some other things in there.
Okay. That sounds
That's just
good.
topped on top. Yeah, it's like a very simple appetizer, but we sell it the most.
Okay. And so when you're coming into like a environment as such, like even maybe at every like at Perch or when you went to Shagbark or even at Blue Atlas, when you're first coming in, do you feel like the new guy? Do you feel like you're like the rookie coming in?
Yeah,
And,
I
like,
mean,
is it intimidating?
It is intimidating because I see all these people like they know what they're doing. They know their craft.
Yeah.
And like I'm just some new kid that's all right. I'm trying to absorb everything.
Yeah.
And also I'm messing up at the same time, so it's kind of hard.
But I feel like that's all like a learning process.
It is a learning process, yeah.
And how do you feel like you've, I guess, managed that all? And like, do you feel like you're at a spot now where you're like comfortable and like you got it going? Of course, you're still learning, but
I'm comfortable to a certain extent. Like there's still times where, cause like we switched into a new menu, so yeah.
How does that? Yeah, sorry. How does that work? You guys get like
So when we switch to a new menu, of course, like the hits, like the best things that always sell on the menu are gonna stay.
Good.
But then there's things that'll come off because like they're not doing as well,
Yeah.
or like we just want to try it out, something different.
Yeah.
So it's difficult because you're so used to one way of setting up your station, and then all of a sudden you're just changing it right away, and you got to change everything.
Okay.
So you got to adapt and like learn how to do things new again, pretty much. So it's hard.
I remember when I've been a food runner, a host, and like a server. But my first job in like the food business was a food runner. And I remember every time it wouldn't be a change of menu, but we would have like, I guess, seasonal things. I mean, I only worked for the summer, so they would just bring things actually every other week. They would just add stuff to the menu. And so what we would have before our shift, we would just all meet together, like everybody, the whole staff, and the managers would go over like, this is what we're doing. The chefs would have already made it and then brought it out, and like this is what it was. And I remember it was like I was like 17 at the time, and it was my favorite time because like we were able to then like eat after.
Yeah.
Like the food that they made, because it's a new food. Obviously, you're not gonna waste it.
Right.
But the downside is that since I was a food runner, we would do the last pickings, so we would just get like a table like spoon of something, or like just be able to try just like this one thing. But no, I definitely can like relate to that, and just like kind of picture how that looks like. But I mean, going from a food runner and then like to a host and like a server, it's definitely interesting how I've been able to really see the food business from a lot of different angles, and really not only like appreciate the work that goes that gets done behind the scenes, but also, I mean, I have aspirations of like coming out with my own restaurant in the future. I think we've like talked about this in the past.
Yeah.
So kind of seeing how it all works, I mean, it's all just a great experience in my opinion. And like in the future, I mean, for a very brief period of time, and even now, like if I could maybe in a different world, I would love to like really dive into the culinary part of like food, and really like just like start cooking kind of like how you started.
Yeah.
Just like kind of explore that, and maybe that's something that I even will like begin and do. Maybe like just start with like cooking at home, especially as I continue, like get my own place, and like wherever I end up, where I have my own place, really maybe like start to build a palate or build like time just to start exploring food and like being able to cook more than just like rice and chicken.
I mean, you could make rice and chicken super elevated.
Yeah, you're right. No, 100%. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so you touched on where you're at right now, what you're doing. Have you seen the show The Bear?
Yes, I have.
You saw episode or season 1, correct?
I only saw season 1.
Okay.
The new season just came out.
Yeah, so I've seen, there's been a lot of stuff going on. Like it's gotten a lot of recognition. I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's very, very good. And would you say it's like realistic to what it's like?
Of course, some of it's very dramatic.
Okay.
But there are some scenes that are very true. And like the one scene that I do, for me, it's very spot on.
Uh-huh.
So there's a scene in season 1 where the main character, and at the time he was like working at another restaurant.
Yeah.
He was working under a head chef.
Yeah.
And the head chef was just in his ear talking at him. He was like, "Oh, like, why do you have all these tattoos? You're a small man. You got the small man complex. Why do you smoke cigarettes?"
Wow.
And he was just trying to break him down. And for me, that hit home because the very first place I worked at, like the first real place I worked at, the sous chef did that to me.
Really?
And of course, like, yeah, it's depending on which restaurant you work at, you could get an asshole chef, and it's hard. It's hard. Like it broke me down a little bit. There were times like where where I would cry on the
Really?
line. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh
it was
my
bad.
God.
It was bad because of like, I wasn't used to that, but
Yeah.
like I was young. I was a young cook.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't really know what I was doing.
Oh my God.
But also like, of course I didn't deserve that.
Yeah, yeah.
But it toughened me up.
I didn't realize how intense it can get.
It
like, in the
can,
kitchen.
yeah. Depending on which restaurant you go to, like
Yeah.
the more fine dining you go to,
It's
the more nitpicky they get.
Yeah.
And like especially if you're going to if you're gonna work in like a Michelin star restaurant, they're
Yeah.
really about the fine details. There's a reason why they have the stars and like they want to keep them. So
Yeah.
you have to keep up.
Wow. And
Yeah.
so like talking about like Michelin star and fine dining, is there a place that like, what are your dreams and goals as a cook? Like, is there a certain spot where you want to end up or a situation that you really think would be ideal for you?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm still like, for me, I still feel new to the game,
Okay.
even though I've been cooking for a while, for I think a good 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And I don't know. Like of course I want to have my own place, but I do want to try working in fine dining
Okay.
at Michelin star level.
Nice.
Just so I know if I have it or not. And
Yeah.
then I don't know. There's restaurants that I'm always seeing that popping up that I'm like, oh, this would be a cool spot. Like
Yeah.
recently in Chicago, I forgot the name of the restaurant, but it's this. It's like the first Filipino restaurant to get a 1-star Michelin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Good for
I've looked at them and like I've seen what they've made.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Maybe I could do my own take on it, but I don't know. I've thought about it, and there's so many other places that I want to see.
Yeah.
Like I've thought about moving back home, working in DC again,
Mm-hmm.
but there's so much to do.
Yeah.
don't
I
know.
mean, DC has a bunch of spots.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. So it sounds like you're kind of just like, you have some stuff that you'd enjoy, you could see yourself doing, but it sounds like you're kind of just like enjoying what you're doing now, maybe not like worrying about too much in the future. I think that's really great. So would you say that experience right there is the crazy experience in the kitchen, or is that the most intense? Like, do you have another story maybe? Like being all your times in the kitchen? That,
I mean,
like,
that's
sticks out to
the
you?
one that sticks out the most for like craziest and like a good introduction into like fine dining. So, that's the one I really remember, and it still haunts me a little bit. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. It happened, and I'm
What
here
about like
today.
any like kitchen? Like, has there ever been like any fights that you've seen, or like people walking out like it's too much for them, they crack under pressure, or like an angry like customer comes in like the kitchen, like, what are you doing, or anything?
I mean, we've gotten stuff like that. For me, it's just like it just feels super normal at this point, where it's like, all right, it happens, and then we
Yeah.
just keep moving on. I guess, like when tickets ring in,
Yeah.
the really fine details of like, oh, like I remember last year specifically, someone said like, oh, pork belly or bacon allergy.
Yeah.
And then they ordered the pork belly dish, and it's the same cut, so it's literally the same thing, but they're just, I don't
Okay.
know. It's
Yeah.
like it's stuff like that where it's like, all right, like you have to. It's hard being the cook when you have to cater to customers that want it so different from the way you want to make the dish.
Yeah.
Like I think that's a hard thing in our industry. It's catering towards the people. It's hospitality. Like
Yeah. Honestly.
you got to care for people.
And how do you like manage sometimes when like you're like having a busy night? Like me being a food runner and a server, like when it's busy, I feel like I'm like all over the place, like taking
Yeah.
orders, like I'm on my feet, like sometimes, like, or like I'm just like doing something for like straight, like maybe sometimes like 3-4 hours, like I'm running, like I'm making sure like I have to like be on my toes doing everything.
Yeah.
So how's that being on like the kitchen part?
It's hard because like for you guys, right? So you're running from back and forth to tables. For us, it's just like tickets will just pile in, so we have like a whole board of just tickets
Yeah.
that are just covered, and we're like trying to figure out like, all right, so we already did like this and this from that order, but we're just missing that.
Yeah.
And then like we're like all of these are just ringing in, so you're trying to figure out, you're trying to find that balance between like dropping the food but then like plating the food at the same time. So it's like
Yeah.
it gets very intense and it gets very difficult real fast, but in times like that you really have to just slow down for a second. Even though it seems very contradictory of just slowing down and kind of like stopping,
Yeah.
but you have to think. You
Yeah.
know, if you make like like when you make mistakes, of course that happens, but like it's hard to make mistakes, and then like you have to realize like, all right, there's so many other things that I have to do.
Yeah.
So the most important thing is just slow down and really concentrate and figure out like what needs to be done first.
Yeah.
And then that's like the job of like the person who's reading tickets, your expo.
Oh, okay.
So like there are times where we just can't even read the tickets. It gets so full. We got to ask like, oh, what's our all day count on this? You know, our like all day, which means like how many do we have to make the whole time? Like what do we have like on the board that we need to fire?
And I'm sure communication is a huge part. Like you're a team and I feel like a family, right? Yeah. Wow. So yeah, just like I have one last segment I want to do.
Sure.
I mean, I told you this was going to fly by, right?
Yeah.
I know. So, I mean, I think it was great that everything that we've talked about. So I have just some quick things before we wrap up. Answer them as fast as you can. Don't really think about it too much. All right. Favorite thing to cook?
Steak.
Okay. What came first, the chicken or the egg?
Egg.
Favorite fast food?
Dang, that's a hard one. Let's just go with kava.
Okay. What's something that you love?
That I love. My family.
Okay. What's something that you hate?
No, I'm kidding.
Okay. I was like, wait, love-hate relationship?
Honestly, I don't hate a lot of things.
Okay. Favorite chef?
Favorite chef? That's a hard question.
Okay.
Can you skip that one?
Yeah. What about favorite cuisine? We'll do 5 more.
I would say Asian cuisine. That's like what I'm kind of used to cooking.
Okay. Dine in or take out?
Dining in.
Okay. Skating or biking?
Biking.
Okay. Ice cream or frozen yogurt?
Ice cream.
Raw or baked?
Baked.
Spice or no spice?
Spice.
Okay. Salt or pepper?
Salt.
Burgers or pizza?
Ooh. Burgers.
And last one would be, or last 2, rice or noodles?
Rice.
Okay. And show or movies?
Movies.
Okay. Nice. I'm a big movie guy myself. Show is really hard to commit to that. Movies, love them. Paolo, thank you so much for joining. I think this was a great episode. I feel like we could talk for another like hour, 2 hours, honestly, with everything like diving into the world that you live in and me just asking questions and being so intrigued in that. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. You're the first guest of the Hungry Thoughts podcast, and I think you were a great first guest. I have a gift for you that I will give you after the show's over. But thank you so much. I appreciate your time. And maybe we can do this again in the future. Actually, definitely going to do this again in the future.
For sure, yeah.
That'd be fantastic. And yeah, is there anything else you want to say before I close out?
Thank you to all my friends and family that have supported me. You guys mean a lot. And thank you, Nick, for having me onto your show.
No, of course, man. Great to have you. That's it, guys. That's episode 2. Again, if you guys loved the episode, please check out the Patreon down below. A lot more exciting guests. I'm planning to have a friend of mine who is a restaurant owner, pop-up turned restaurant owner. So really excited about that. And we got a lot more guests coming up that I'm really excited about. Thank you guys so much. And as always, eat up.